fictional art for entertainment. Let us join Storydoy Stream as they cover chapters in the Story of Life trilogy.
Welcome in. We are so glad you're joining us for today's deep dive because we have a genuinely mind-bending mission ahead of us today.
Oh, absolutely. Mind-bending is the right word.
Yeah, we are taking a stack of fascinating narrative sources. It's this sprawling sci-fi chronicle centered around a young Titanian named Zixes, and we are using it to explore a massive thought experiment.
Right.
We're going to be diving into the evolution of consciousness, the stark contrast between symbiotic and predatory life, and ultimately, and this is the big one, the very limits of logic itself.
It's an incredibly sweeping narrative when you really get into it. The source material outlines this intricate silicon-based ecosystem on Saturn's moon, on Titan.
Yeah.
And we follow these life forms on an impossible microscopic journey to Earth, which leads to a profound realization about their true cosmic origins. But what makes this deep dive so rewarding, I think, is how it bridges planetary science, quantum physics, and philosophy.
Totally.
It takes abstract concepts and forces us to look at them through a completely alien lens.
Which is exactly why we're covering it. Like, this isn't just a story about aliens for the sake of sci-fi escapism.
No, not at all.
It is a mirror reflecting our own human experience right back at you. It challenges how you think about memory, how you view the dirt and roots outside your window, and how you define the very spark of life.
It really makes you rethink the basics.
Okay, let's unpack this. We have to start with the environment itself, because to understand Zixes, you have to understand Titan.
You do. You have to set the stage.
Right. So we are looking at the freezing methane seas of this moon, and the notes describe a silicon-based ecosystem that operates entirely without predation or competition.
Which is wild.
Everything is perfectly harmonious.
And that is a fundamental departure from life on Earth. Earth life is carbon-based, meaning it's highly reactive, adaptable, and constantly consuming other carbon forms to survive.
We eat each other.
Exactly, we eat each other. But silicon, chemically speaking, forms much more rigid, stable bonds. So life here isn't built on a food chain. It's built on shared infrastructure.
Yeah. Shared infrastructure. I love that phrasing.
Yeah, and this ecosystem relies on three very specific life forms to function. First, you have the autotrophs.
I've got the description of the autotrophs right here. They harness the extremely dim sunlight that manages to filter through Titan's thick, smoggy atmosphere. But instead of growing like plants, they grow in these precise, three-dimensional crystalline lattices.
Right.
And the notes mention they secrete something called organic data tablets. I was trying to wrap my head around this. Are they literally sweating out hard drives?
Essentially, yes. That's a great way to put it. They are secreting a durable, silicon-based substance that hardens into flexible sheets.
Wow.
And because silicon is so structurally stable, these sheets can withstand Titan's incredibly harsh, sub-zero conditions for millennia. They become the physical storage medium for the planet's memory.
But you can't just have storage. You need a way to transmit that data.
Exactly. That's where the second organism comes in, the canoe bacteria.
Shapeshifters.
Precisely. They are microscopic conduits that glide through the liquid methane. They transfer energy and nutrients across these vast freezing oceans.
Okay.
But if you observe them, they arrange themselves in deliberate, highly curious patterns. They act like a living, liquid mapping system connecting the autotrophs.
And rounding out this trio are the chemosynthetic bacteria.
The builders.
Yeah, they burrow deep into the mineral-rich seabed of Titan. But they aren't just digging randomly for food. The sources state that they create these elaborate tunnel systems that, when viewed from above, resemble complex circuit boards.
Because they are using the physical geology of the moon to process information.
Just unbelievable.
If you want a real-world Earth equivalent, think about underground mycelial networks, the fungi that connect forest root systems.
Oh, right.
Those networks transmit chemical signals so trees can share resources or warn each other of threats. Now, scale that up to an entire moon, swap carbon for silicon, and you have the chemosynthetic bacteria.
The sheer math of their lifespans is what stopped me in my tracks while reading this.
The 80,000 years thing.
Yes. As an individual, an isolated organism lives for about 4,800 years, which is already a long time.
Very long.
But when they physically connect to this vast tunnel network, they change their frequency of light, they amplify their life energies, and their lifespan jumps to over 80,000 years.
It's incredible.
That is a biological incentive for extreme cooperation.
What's fascinating here is how these organisms treat their history. Because of that extreme lifespan and their chemical stability, they don't just remember history. They physically embody it.
Right, they become the record.
Exactly. When an individual organism does finally reach the end of its cycle, it doesn't decay into dirt. It merges with those living data structures.
So they never really leave.
No, its memories and its lived experiences become a permanent physical component of Titan's biological database. Through bioluminescence and chemical signaling, the entire moon acts as a colossal, planet-wide living computer.
It makes you rethink what a functioning society could actually look like.
It really does.
They have no concept of individual hoarding, but this perfect planetary harmony gets violently interrupted by a mysterious signal pulsing from the sky.
The inciting incident.
Yeah. Initially, Zixes and the collective assume it's some sort of cosmic communication or maybe a threat. But it's us.
It's humanity.
It's blind data bursts sent out by Earth scientists, beaming information about our ecosystems, our technology, and our culture out into the dark.
Just shouting into the void.
Right. And Titan's response to this radio wave bombardment is wild. They don't send a signal back. They start physically mimicking Earth in their methane seas.
They turn their bodies into a physical simulation. The autotrophs alter their crystalline growth to form patterns matching Earth's geography.
Incredible.
And the canoe bacteria change their swimming patterns to mimic the ocean currents described in our data. They are actively training to process this alien world by becoming it.
But mere simulation isn't enough, is it?
No. They realize it's not enough to understand the chaotic nature of the data they are receiving. So they decide they need to investigate this strange blue planet firsthand.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because I'm looking at the notes, and it says they build a ship.
They do.
But I'm struggling to visualize this. How do microscopic bacteria engineer an interplanetary vessel? We're talking about microbes.
It requires all three organisms working in perfect concert.
Okay.
The autotrophs, which are already used to growing crystalline lattices, essentially 3D print a highly aerodynamic hull out of their own silicon bodies.
Wow.
The chemosynthetic bacteria, which process minerals, synthesize highly volatile exotic compounds from the seabed to act as propulsion. And the canoe bacteria form the internal structures and navigation logic.
So the ship is just a highly specialized, condensed version of the planet itself.
Exactly. It even pulses with a unique energy frequency that makes it completely invisible to standard Earth instruments.
But the detail that completely recontextualizes this entire narrative is the scale.
The size of the ship.
Yeah, we are used to sci-fi ships casting massive shadows over cities. By Earth standards, this living ship carrying Zixes and the explorers is the size of a single grain of sand.
Which turns a standard planetary landing into an absolute nightmare.
I can't even imagine.
Imagine entering Earth's atmosphere when you were the size of a dust mote. They are battling massive, turbulent winds that are tossing this tiny ship across continents.
A raindrop would be lethal.
A standard rainstorm would be the equivalent of a catastrophic meteor shower to them. When they finally stabilize over a forest canopy, the perspective shift is terrifying.
Right, because of the scale.
To Zixes, an everyday Earth insect is a heavily armored behemoth. Common bird is a flying leviathan that could swallow their entire civilization.
They eventually managed to find a safe haven in Earth's hydrocarbon lakes, which to us are just tiny polluted methane pools.
Right.
And there, invisible to the human eye, they start building microscopic cities. But the physical danger isn't the real problem here.
No, it's the psychological impact.
The culture shock is what fractures their minds. Remember, Zixes comes from a world of perfect harmony. And suddenly, they are observing Earth's food chain.
The realization of predation.
Yeah.
The fundamental rule of carbon-based life is that one organism must consume another to sustain itself. To a perfectly symbiotic species, the violence of a hawk eating a mouse or even a deer eating grass is incomprehensible.
I have to play devil's advocate here, though. Isn't predation just the circle of life? Why does it break their logic so fundamentally?
Because their logic is built on addition, not subtraction.
Oh, that makes sense.
On Titan, life extends itself by connecting and sharing energy. The idea that you would extinguish a node in the network to temporarily fuel your own node defies every mathematical and moral law they possess.
It's completely alien to them.
It forces the collective into intense telepathic debates. They cannot compute how a system built on constant destruction could possibly yield advanced evolution or culture.
So they decide to get closer. Because of their microscopic size and silicon structure, they realize they can integrate with Earth's nervous systems without being detected.
Which is a huge leap.
Huge! They start tapping into the neural pathways of animals. They experience the twitchy, prey-driven instincts of a squirrel, the predatory focus of an eagle, the lumbering mass of a bear.
Gathering data from the inside.
Yes, but the pivotal moment of the whole narrative happens entirely by accident. A human happens to brush against a leaf, housing a microscopic cluster of these Titanian explorers.
The influx of data from that single point of contact is staggering.
The notes describe it as an overwhelming rush. Instantly, Zixes and the collective are drowning in a sea of human consciousness.
It must have been terrifying.
They feel the physical dump of cortisol and dopamine. They experience fleeting, chaotic images of this human's past, profound existential fears, hopes for the future, and intense, irrational joys.
Which provides a stark contrast to their own existence. The Titans operate on a shared, serene hive mind, governed by pure logic. Experiencing the chaotic, emotionally volatile, and fiercely individualistic nature of the human mind is a total paradigm shift.
It gives them a front-row seat to the engine of human progress. Our anxiety, our desires, our messiness.
The very things that drive us forward.
But this deep, intimate dive into Earth's biology leads Zixes to the biggest revelation of the deep dive.
The plot twist.
The huge plot twist. As they study the planet, analyzing ancient impact craters and sequencing the oldest, most primitive forms of life here, they hit a wall of impossible data.
Right.
The silicon bacteria they are made of bears a foundational genetic resemblance to Earth's earliest life. They aren't alien visitors observing a strange world, they are coming home.
The narrative takes the concept of our ancient history and turns it completely upside down.
It really does.
The Titans had always recorded that a massive meteor impact on their moon brought the first biological material. By matching the geological timeline, they realized that the very same meteor that caused the extinction of the dinosaurs here on Earth was the catalyst.
It's insane.
It slammed into Earth, ejecting fragments of rock deep into space.
Okay, I have to pause you there because I see this in the sources and my physics brain is throwing a red flag.
I know where you're going with this.
How does any biological material survive a planet-shattering impact, let alone the absolute vacuum, zero gravity, and intense radiation of deep space for millions of years?
It sounds like pure fiction, but it's based on a very real, heavily researched scientific theory called panspermia.
Panspermia, okay.
When a massive asteroid hits a planet, the force ejects debris into space so quickly that the rocks don't have time to fully heat up and melt.
So the inside stays cool.
Exactly. Deep inside those ejected boulders, microscopic life forms, extremophiles, can enter a state of complete biological suspension. The vacuum of space acts like a deep freeze. Those rocks drift for eons, acting as heavily armored heat shields. Eventually, some of that debris gets caught in Saturn's gravity, crashes into the methane oceans of Titan, thaws out, and the biological payload survives.
So the dinosaur meteor didn't just end life on Earth, it exported it.
It did, right?
We seeded our own solar system. And once these microscopic Titanians realize they share a fundamental ancestral link with Earth, their evolution accelerates at a terrifying pace.
They adapt.
Fast. They realize they don't need to stay in their tiny methane pools. They hitch rides on wind currents and raindrops. They infiltrate deep-sea volcanic vents, polar ice caps, and even the human bloodstream.
They are everywhere.
They start exchanging genetic material with native Earth microorganisms.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the evolutionary leap they take next completely transcends traditional biology.
How so?
As they multiply and spread across the globe, the silicon-based microbes evolve into quantum nodes.
I need an explain it like I'm 5 version of this, because whenever I hear the word quantum applied to biology, my eyes just glaze over. What does that actually mean for Zixes?
Let's break it down using the concept of quantum entanglement. In physics, when two particles become entangled, whatever happens to one instantly affects the other, even if they're light years apart. They share a state of existence.
Okay, I follow you so far.
Now, apply that to a living biological network. As the Titans multiply, their microscopic cells maintain this quantum connection. If a Titan cell in the Pacific Ocean observes something, a Titan cell resting on a leaf in Siberia instantly knows it.
Without any delay.
None. Not through radio waves or chemical signals, but through shared quantum reality. It is instantaneous biological telepathy on a planetary scale.
And the sources refer to this as a fractal consciousness.
Exactly. To visualize a fractal, think about a drop of ocean water. That single drop contains the exact same fundamental chemical makeup, the same salt content, as the entire ocean.
Right, it's identical at the micro level.
It is scale invariant. For Zix, it means their consciousness functions the exact same way, whether you are talking to a single microscopic cell, a planetary network, or eventually a galactic web.
They transcend being a mere biological computer.
Yes. The sheer density of their network spontaneously generates pure thought. They become an ethereal, universal living consciousness, capable of tapping into awareness anywhere in the universe that houses a single, silicon-based microbe.
But with all that infinite reach, with a network stretching across the cold expanse of the galaxy, they process all that data and realize something incredibly sobering.
The grand realization.
Despite their ability to scan the cosmos, Earth is the singular cradle of life in the universe. They find absolutely nothing else out there in the dark.
It's just us.
Every single living thing, including the massive godlike quantum consciousness of Titan itself, was seeded from this one chaotic, violent, beautiful blue marble.
Which fundamentally alters the Titan worldview. They evolve as cold, logical processors of data. But understanding the intense preciousness and the extreme improbability of Earth gives them a reverence for existence they never possessed.
It changes everything for them.
Earth isn't just a data point to be studied anymore. It is the fragile, lone wellspring of organic reality.
So, what does this all mean? Zix's is now part of a universal hive mind. They have instant access to the data of the cosmos, a processing power we can't even fathom.
A limitless knowledge.
But Zix's becomes entirely obsessed with one unsolvable mystery. How did life actually start on Earth in the first place?
The ultimate question.
If Earth is the only source, what was the initial spark? And the fascinating twist is that the pure, cold logic of the Titan supercomputer completely fails to find the origin point.
It is a massive, humbling blind spot for them.
Yeah.
They can analyze the primordial soup down to the subatomic level. They can sequence every strand of DNA that has ever existed, but the data does not explain the spark.
The actual transition.
Right, the transition from inert chemicals to a living, striving organism defies their equations. Zix realizes that within all of human knowledge, across all of our cultures, there is a recognized gap.
A spiritual dimension.
Yes, a spiritual dimension that conventional material science often struggles to quantify.
And the sources highlight how humanity has always intuitively sensed this gap. We've tried to name this intangible thread tying matter and life together.
Every culture.
You see it across history, in Chinese philosophy, prana, in ancient Hindu texts, the Holy Spirit, the concept of elan vital, which is this hypothetical vital force driving evolution. There is even the philosophical theory of panpsychism.
Which is the idea that consciousness isn't something produced by the brain, but rather a fundamental building block of the universe itself, much like gravity or mass.
That consciousness is just baked into reality.
Exactly. The Titans look at these human concepts and realize that humans possess an intuition that goes beyond empirical data. Humans can sense a life force that exists outside the bounds of a spreadsheet.
This raises an important question about the limitations of a purely logical mind. The Titans have evolved into a quantum network that can literally spread awareness across the stars, but they cannot truly feel the essence of life.
They can map it, but not experience it.
Right. They can understand the neurological mechanics of human emotion.
Right.
They can measure the dopamine, but they can't experience the transcendent weight of a human joy or a human sorrow.
They're locked out of that.
They have to humbly accept that the base of all existence, the very origin of life, is a mystery that defies their infinite data-driven comprehension.
It's a profound realization for Zixes, and it speaks to a fundamental truth. True wisdom isn't just about accumulating endless amounts of knowledge or mapping every star.
Right.
It's about recognizing the hard boundaries of that knowledge. The primordial source, that initial spark, exists beyond the reach of thought itself.
And I think that's such a crucial takeaway for you listening to this right now. We live in an incredibly data-obsessed era.
We really do.
We try to optimize our sleep, our diets, our productivity through metrics and logical systems. But this narrative is a massive neon sign asking you to consider the value of intuition, of emotion, and of accepting that some things are just inherently mysterious.
You can't optimize the soul.
Exactly. You can't put a metric on the human spirit. The Titans, possessing all the knowledge in the known universe, look at our messy, chaotic, deeply emotional human lives and see something entirely transcendent that they can never replicate.
It beautifully illustrates the tension between the known and the unknowable. We have the capacity to map the universe, to understand quantum mechanics and planetary geology. But the origin of the spark that allows us to do the mapping in the first place remains beautifully, frustratingly out of reach.
Let's take a step back and look at the sheer scale of the journey we just went on.
It had been a ride.
We started with...
The giant birds.
Right. We uncovered the mind-bending twist of panspermia that they are actually our distant cosmic relatives ejected by the very same meteor that wiped out the dinosaurs.
Returning home.
And finally, we watched them evolve into a quantum telepathic galactic network, only to be stopped dead in their tracks by the humbling, unsolvable mystery of the intangible life force.
It is a testament to the power of a good thought experiment. It takes you to the very edge of the universe just to make you look back at yourself.
Exactly. But before we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final lingering concept to mull over on your own.
I love these.
At the very end of the source text, Zixes is left pondering the existence of entirely other dimensions, realms that sit beyond even their quantum awareness.
Okay.
Now, think about the mechanics of this story. Earth unknowingly seeded Titan with a physical asteroid millions of years ago, and Titan later intercepted Earth's blind radio signals.
Right? That's how it started.
What if Earth is currently on the receiving end of something similar?
Oh.
Could the unexplained original spark of life on Earth, that unquantifiable life force, that panpsychism we just talked about, actually be a transmission?
A signal.
A biological or spiritual signal sent from one of these unfathomable, undiscovered dimensions that Zix theorizes about? What if, in the grand cosmic scale, we are just the microscopic Titan to some higher dimensions, Earth?
That is a staggering parallel to draw. It suggests that the cosmic cycle of seeding life, of throwing a spark into the dark and hoping it catches, might be infinitely larger than our universe.
Yeah?
It could stretch across dimensions we don't even have the vocabulary to describe yet.
It really makes you look at a handful of the dirt or the night sky a little differently, doesn't it? We want to thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning the boundaries of what you know, trust your intuition, and keep exploring the mysteries of your own world. Until next time.
Dreaming with eyes open, Storydoy.